breaking news today.
Please subscribe and then check notification box to get all breaking news alert.
Smug Muslim tells judge he'll never rise for him. Judge's 4 words see him to his feet. When an honorable judge entered his courtroom, an entitled thug refused to rise, informing the court that he'd never stand for any man because of his superior religion. Incredibly, it took the judge just 4 little words to quickly change the criminal's attitude and have him on his feet in no time. As Islam continues to grow in the West, we see Muslims using our freedoms to invoke Sharia law, which prohibits these freedoms. Using our freedom of speech, Muslims preach their religion and demand the punishment of criticism of Islam. Using our freedom of religion, Muslims incite violence from their religious texts and demand we accommodate their endless compulsions. Eventually, this leads to the implementation of Sharia law enforced by Sharia courts. Luckily, some justices aren't willing to submit to Islam in their own chambers. In March 2016, Muslim convert Ricardo McFarlane was charged with breaching a court order that forbade him from promoting illegal Sharia law in the UK, which he had been doing for years by the side of convicted terrorist sympathizer and notorious hate preacher Anjem Choudary. Finally brought before the Southwark Crown Court on August 29, 30-year-old McFarlane flaunted his religious supremacy, telling Judge Martin Beto that he will never stand for any man, especially an infidel judge of a man-made court. What he heard next immediately convinced him to take the upright position. The Sun reports that Judge Beto simply replied that if McFarlane doesn't rise, he will deal with him differently, threatening to go ahead and sentence him to jail. Upset by the judge's unwillingness to bend, McFarlane's attorney pleaded with the judge to allow him to remain seated, claiming, because of his religious belief, he believes there is only one person who he should bow to. Once again putting McFarlane in his place and forcing him to stand, Judge Beto refuted his excuse, reminding him that he doesn't follow Islamic law in his courtroom. If Mr. McFarlane isn't going to treat this court with respect, then I might have to deal with him differently than to release him on bail, he said before a break-in proceedings. Roy Headlam, defending, said, because of his religious belief he believes there is only one person who he should bow to. Judge Beto continued, that is as may be, but this isn't a court of religion, this is a secular court and it expects to be treated with respect. That isn't in breach of any religious principles I'm aware of. Proving that he's neither as devout nor bold as he portrayed himself to be, McFarlane stood for Judge Beto, finally giving him and the Crown Court the respect it commands. According to the Telegraph, McFarlane breached the order when he and 20 other Muslim men erected a stall outside of Topshop in London and called for the overthrow of democracy and the implementation of Sharia law. He is scheduled for trial in mid-September and must report to his local police station every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday while on probation, that is, as long as he doesn't further anger Judge Beto. McFarlane is a repeat offender when it comes to advocating for illegal legislation and violating others' rights. In December 2013, McFarlane, Jordan Horner, and an unidentified accomplice were jailed for 1 year, 68 weeks, and 24 weeks in prison respectively for enforcing Sharia law on the streets of London. McFarlane and Horner, who are both Muslim converts, attacked a group of intoxicated men for drinking alcohol, which is considered a punishable offense for both Muslims and non-Muslims under Sharia. The Muslim patrol shouted, "Kill the non-believers," at passers-by. The group also harassed a woman for dressing immodestly, telling her she would burn in hellfire for not covering up. McFarlane pleaded guilty to fighting in public, which was added to his previous convictions for vandalizing business advertisements portraying women. Prosecutor Alex Chalk told the court, "This is a case about religious vigilantism. These men were members of a self-styled Muslim patrol who threatened, intimidated, and even assaulted members of the public who they perceived to be behaving in a non-Islamic manner. The men accosted members of the public in neighborhoods of East London which they claimed were Muslim areas, and where according to them different law applied. This type of Sharia advocation and enforcement is on the rise in Europe as the Muslim population grows. Muslims create enclaves and no-go zones in which they not only segregate themselves from all others but prohibit non-Muslims from entering. Sharia law is almost always enforced in these no-go zones, regardless of the offender's religious beliefs. Despite claiming that there is no compulsion in Islam, Sharia law enacts its barbaric religious legislation on all mankind, Muslim or not. In over 50 Muslim-majority nations, the oppressive and violent effects of Sharia continue to fester and threaten the Western countries that take in its adherents. It is not only up to our judges and courts to ensure that Sharia law is never recognized within our justice system, but our duty as well to speak out against it.